All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Daily Power Parsha. It is great to see you, and it's great to study Torah together. Okay, so today we talk about the Ten Commandments. Why? Because we can, and because it's in our reading. This is the second iteration of the Ten Commandments. Don't worry, it's not 20, it's the same 10, but it's the second instance that these 10 Commandments are mentioned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you, and let's study it together, because it's a lot of really cool stuff to speak about. Let's see how long this reading is. It's not tremendously long. I'd like to kind of go through all the verses and share some insights. And what I'm going to do as part of the exploration today, I'll speak about the 10 Commandments as being understood in two columns. So stay tuned for that. 10 Commandments, two columns, and I'll tell you what I mean by that in a moment. But first, let's start at the top. Deuteronomy 5, verse number 1. It says, "And Moses called all Israel, and he said to them, 'Hear, O Israel,'" which of course the Hebrew here is Shema Yisrael, as the same words as the famous prayer Shema, but it's a different verse. "Hear, O Israel," and that means not only to hear, but to really hear and to heed, to take to heart. "Hear, O Israel, the statutes and ordinances which I speak in your ears this day, and learn to love them." Sorry, not love them, and learn them and observe to do them. That was my addition. Maybe also. Learn them and observe them to do them. So what's interesting is that Moses uses the words, "Asher nochi dober ba'aznechem hayom," that I'm speaking with you today. Of course, he meant the day that he was speaking, but any time that we find the word hayom, today, in Torah, so we're always meant to read it as today, like July 29th, 2020, like today's today. So that is a little bit of a deeper understanding. This day meaning today. These have to be fresh, like we're getting it today. Okay, so what is the message that Moses is saying? "The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb, which is Mount Sinai." And look what he says, "Not with our forefathers did the Lord make his covenant." It's not an ancient covenant, but with us, we, all of whom are here alive today. Again, we, all of whom are here alive today, you and I read that as you and I, not Moses' generation that is long gone, that is our forefathers. Moses is saying it's not an ancient covenant. It's a timely and a timeless covenant. Okay. Verse 4, look what Moses says. "Face to face, the Lord spoke with you at the mountain out of the midst of the fire. And I stood between the Lord and you at that time to tell you the word of the Lord, for you were afraid of the fire, and you did not go up on the mountain saying," okay, fine. So that's like kind of a parenthetical. You see it's here in the English in parentheses, although in the original, it's straight up a verse. There's no parentheses in Torah. Nonetheless, it's kind of parenthetically Moses saying that I was involved because the experience was very intense and you wanted me to be involved in some level. But anyway, and here's what God said. Here is what God said, right? So if we skip verse 5 and we go straight from verse 4 to 6, "Face to face, the Lord spoke with you at the mountain out of the midst of the fire." And what did he say? And now begins the 10 Commandments. So this is now the 10 Commandments script, if you will. Of course, commandment number 1, "I am the Lord your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." That is number 1. Number 2, "You shall not have the gods of others in my presence." And that means no idol worship. So first one is, I'm the Lord your God. So knowing who God is. Number 2 is not having other gods. And along with that is you shall not make for yourself any graven image or any likeness which is in the heavens above, which is on the earth below, or which is in the water beneath the earth. We spoke about this actually, I think yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago, about making images. And I clarified that it's not any image that is of nature that's forbidden, but it's a graven image, i.e. an image that's used in the context of idol worship. So Instagram, not a problem. Statues, depending on whom, not a problem. A graven image, an image to be worshipped, that's a problem, right? A poster of an athlete in a teenager's room that's their idol? Maybe. I'm kidding. I don't know. Whatever. That's depending on if it's actually worshipped or okay. But the bottom line is, don't make a graven image. You shall not prostrate yourself before them, which means bow down before them, nor worship them. Again, worship what? Them, i.e. the images. For I, the Lord your God, am a zealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the sons, upon the third and fourth generations of those who hate me. Of course, this evokes lots of questions. Does God really visit the iniquity of the fathers upon the sons? Do children pay the price for their parents' sins? Okay, not exactly. But the reality is that there is, look, education is education, and there is a residual effect of what parents give to children, and that oftentimes impacts the child. Is it necessarily so? No, but that's usually what happens. Next, and I perform loving kindness to thousands of generations. Second. Right? I perform loving kindness to 1,000 generations of those who love me and to those who keep my commandments. So the negative stuff is only maybe third and fourth generation, possibly. But the kindness, the goodness, the blessings is the 1,000 generations afterwards. Okay, so that all is commandment number 3. So let's go through the first 3. Number 1, I am the Lord your God. I'm sorry, that's the first 2. First one is I am the Lord your God. Right? Belief in God. Second one is no idols, which includes not having any other gods, which includes the creation of images, idols, and the bowing down of such idols. Okay? Fine. Bowing down to such idols. So that's all commandment number 2. Number 3 begins right here. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, which means basically, don't take God's name in vain. Don't swear falsely. For the Lord will not hold blameless anyone who takes his name in vain. Okay, it's commandment number 3. Number 4, keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it as the Lord your God commanded you. So, Shabbat. Shabbat continues. 6 days you may work and perform all your labor, but the 7th day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall perform no labor, neither you, your son, your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, your ox, your donkey. Right? Even your animals have to keep Shabbos. You can't plow the field with them. Any of your livestock, nor the stranger who is within your cities, in order that your manservant and your maidservant may rest like you. By the way, the idea here is that Shabbos is many things, but it's also primarily, or part of it is a gift. The gift of letting us not work on Shabbos. And that's a gift that we should share with our animals, with our workers, and with really anybody. No, everyone should have the opportunity to rest on that day. You're resting, you're enjoying, let the other person rest. And you shall remember, verse 15 supports this notion. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. You know what that implies? In Egypt, when you were a slave, you couldn't take a day off, right? That's what it means to be a slave. You couldn't take a day off. But then the Lord your God took you out from there with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore, the Lord your God commanded you to observe the Sabbath day. What does it mean? God is saying, please take a day off to express your freedom. You are free. You're not a slave anymore. Therefore, you can rest. Set your own schedule. Tell your boss, I'm sorry, I'm not working on Saturday. Like the great famous kids song, ain't gonna work on Saturday, Big Gedalia Gumber. Anyway, if you know it, you love it. If not, you gotta discover it. You Google it. Ain't gonna work on Saturday, Big Gedalia Gumber. Classic song of Shabbos joy. Okay, so that's all number 4. So again, I'm Lord your God is number 1. Don't have any other gods, no graven images, don't bow down to them, no idolatry is number 2. Number 3 is not taking God's name in vain. Number 4 is Shabbat. Number 5, verse 16. This is the one loved by parents everywhere. Honor your father and mother as the Lord your God commanded you in order that your days be lengthened. So here we have this is the only one that we have like a reward for. So if you honor your parents, then your days will be lengthened and you live a long life, and that it may go well with you on the land that the Lord your God is giving you. So 2 things. If you honor your parents, number 1, your days will be lengthened. And number 2, your Israel experience will work out okay. You'll be safe and secure in the land, in the promised land. Okay, that's number 5. So now we have the first 5 lined up. And as I mentioned before, we're going to speak about these 10 commandments in the context of 2 tablets that are side by side. So that's all column number 1, tablet number 1. On tablet number 2 at the top, here we go. You ready? And this is it. The first 5 commandments took many verses. The last 5 take but 2 verses. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. That's 6, 7, 8, 9. And number 10, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor shall you desire your neighbor's house, his field, his manservant, his maidservant, his ox, his donkey, his Tesla. That was my addition. Or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Okay, that's it. Those are the 10 commandments. The big 10. Remember, this is Moses repeating. And Moses saying, and this is what God said. Cue up the 10 commandments. There are a few distinctions between the 2 versions of 10 commandments as they happen in context and as Moses repeats them almost verbatim. I say almost because there are some differences. Our sages say that both were said by God at Sinai, and the distinctions bring out the dual messages that God was conveying. But so in speaking, especially in God's words, you can convey double meanings. In writing, so it's written one instance one way, one the other way, but it's only a few very, very slight areas that we have distinctions. I don't want to focus on that right now. I want to focus on a few other things. Picture the 10 commandments. I wish I had like some sort of good visual. Oh, I have a good visual. One second. We have a screen. We have a whiteboard capacity built in. Hold on. Give me a second here, folks. Huh. Give me a moment. I'm looking in my bag for my pen, and I can't find it. And here it is. Okay, let's do a whiteboard, and I want to draw this out for you because I think this will be very helpful in our conversation. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Whiteboard. I'm going to write this from right to left because that is the Hebrew. You should know that the tablets, according to authentic Jewish tradition, were not this picture. Yeah, you ever see that one with the rounded tops? Yeah, tablets. Oh, yeah, it's got inscriptions. Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. Nope. Sorry to debunk that myth. That's not what the tablets look like. The tablets looked like was like this. Ready? Now, that's not a perfect square, but it was meant to be 2 squares. The tablets were 2 squares. That's it. How do we know this? Based on the commentaries, based on verses, based on a description of what the ark looked like, based on the Talmud. It's very well sourced. What happened? How did the rounded tablets originate? I don't know. Go ask Michelangelo, who depicted Moses holding rounded tablets. You got to ask him where he got his inspiration from. But in Jewish tradition, the tablets were square. And they were the same size despite the wonkiness of my drawing. But what I want to show you here mainly is something pretty cool. So I'm going to try to write these out, right? Commandment number 1 is, I am God. It's hard to write on a vertical screen, but I'm doing my best. Number 2 is, no other gods. Number 3 would be, no swearing falsely. Well, not swearing falsely. No taking God's name in vain. I'm going to be a little bit more precise over there. All right. So let's say no. Oops. no taking God's name in vain. Apologize for the handwriting. It's a little hard. Number 4 is Shabbat. That's easy. 5 is honor parents. Okay, sorry for all the noises. Okay, hope you can you guys read this? Is it coming across decently? Yes. Thumbs up if you can. Yes. Okay, good. Number 6, no murder. No adultery. Hold on, let me admit someone into this class. Okay, number 8, no stealing. Number 9, no, hold on, I think I messed that up. Let me go back to the original. Hold on. Not bear false witness. Okay, so that's our next one. So no false witness. That's what it is. Whoops. And number 10 is no coveting. Okay, my handwriting has progressively gotten worse as I am continuing to write. So what I want to do today, very quickly now, is talk about the parallels between 1 and 6, 2 and 7, 3 and 8, 4 and 9, and 5 and 10. And that's why I depicted it this way. Because although we typically think of the 10 Commandments as a list that goes straight down, bottom line is they were written on 2 tablets and held, and together, side by side, there is kind of this way to read them as parallels, where these things are equal ideas. So it actually lines up really beautifully, and that's what I wanted to spend a few minutes on for the remainder of our time together today. So here we go. I am the Lord your God is a prerequisite for no murder. Number 1 is the foundation for number 6. Why? Because why is it that murder is wrong? Why is it that taking a life is wrong? So a person might say, well, it's wrong because it's morally wrong. Well, why is it morally wrong? Yeah, what is it absolute, or is it we decided that it's wrong? Because if we decided that it's wrong, then we can decide that it's right in certain cases. Yeah, Germany, they decided that for some people it's fine, right? Yeah, you don't take a life unless it's these people or those people. So that's how they justified murder. They justified the murder of millions, 6 million plus, right? 6 million Jews, let alone all the others. Yeah, so murder, when it's based on rationale, it's a very dangerous place to go. So the reason in Torah, here's no murder is an absolute. What's it based on? The fact that I am God and the fact that human beings are created in the divine image. So no murder, the foundation of number 6 is I am the Lord your God. The foundation of why is it wrong to take a life is because human beings are created in the image of God. And therefore, to violate a life is to violate God, and it's to go against this very fundamental principle. That's what makes murder wrong. That's the connection between 1 and 6. Let's talk about connection between number 2 and number 7. This one's very easy, right? No other gods, no adultery. It's kind of the same thing. I mean, think about it. What is God saying in commandment number 2 is, don't be seeing other gods, right? Be faithful to me and to our relationship, and don't go sneaking around with any other idols or any other deities out there that are false, but remain committed to our relationship. So number 2 is about commitment, right? And so God's saying, be committed to our relationship. And on a human level, God is saying the same thing with number 7. Again, 2 and 7, perfect connection. Number 3, right? We have no taking, hope you can read this, no taking God's name in vain, right? On the right side. On the left side, it's no stealing. The way our sages explain it, the connection between 3 and 8 is when a person steals, right? What happens when a person steals? The next thing you know is they're being hauled off to court, let's say, and they're promising, they're swearing with God's name that they didn't do it. So stealing will lead to a violation of number 3. Violating number 8 leads to a violation of number 3. No stealing ensures that we don't take God's name in vain because we're not in a court of law. Just taking God's name in vain really refers to oaths and vows or testimony. Actually, no, that's false witness, but it's false witness about somebody else. This would be about promising something or pledging to something in God's name and that not being accurate. So that is connected with the stealing. Again, if we steal, then we're going to end up taking God's name in vain. Don't steal, so you don't take God's name in vain. That's the connection between 3 and 8. All right, number 4 and 9. So 4 is Shabbat. It's about the Sabbath day. And number 9 is not bearing false witness. This is a beautiful thing. Because why do we keep Shabbos? So we had a logical reason that I said before is to give us rest and to celebrate and exalt in the fact that we're no longer slaves in Egypt. But there's another rationale for Shabbat, and that is that it reminds us of God creating the world. God created the world in 6 days, and in the 7th day, he rested, right? And how do we remind ourselves of that? By observing the Shabbat, which means that when we observe Shabbat, we're bearing testimony that God created the world. Otherwise, if we work all 7 days, then who's the creator and how did the creator create and what does the creator want from us? I don't know. There's no indication of that at all in our actions. But when we observe Shabbat, we're bearing witness to God, the creator, which leads to number 9, not bearing false witness. In other words, keep Shabbat, number 4, and you will not be bearing false witness, number 9. Because if we violate Shabbat, then we are bearing false witness, number 9. Does that make sense, that last one? Yeah? In order to attest to God and bear true witness, we observe Shabbat. Okay, that's the connection between 4 and 9. And the last one is a little bit tricky. The last one is actually a little bit more difficult to draw the connections. All the connections that I've been telling you are all brought down in classic works. 5 and 10 is a little bit more vague. So on the right side, number 5, we have honoring parents. Okay, honoring parents makes sense. Sounds like a good thing to do. On the left side, we have the notion of no coveting. No coveting, which means basically recognizing what is mine and what's not mine. So I guess we could say, and by the way, this is, let's make this a discussion point. What do you see? You know, before I tell you what I think, what do you think are the connections? And everyone, please unmute yourself and jump in. What do you think is the connection, the conceptual connection between 5 and 10? What is the connection there?
I would think that whatever lot Hashem gives you when you're with your parents, you should not look to other families and say, oh, look what they've got, because that's coveting.
I like it. I like it. What do you mean? Little Johnny's parents let him go on the overnight. Why can't I go on that trip? Right? That sort of thing. Parents are always like, you know, parents, I guess, are always citing this, you know, don't bring up other people's families and whatnot. So maybe that, I like that. Maybe that's, this is a biblical source for that. And this parallel between honoring parents, in other words, these are your parents. This is your family, you know, for better or for worse. This is your lot in life, as you said, right? No coveting, number 10. What else? What are some other connections? Karen.
So I'm thinking in terms of, you know, sometimes children, you know, can get misdirected or hyper focused on all of these things they want. You know, you know, a career, a house, a this, a that, a car, a fancy car, and that what that does is that oftentimes skews the priorities and focus away from you know, that which gave you life and family and the important ties that you have to your beginnings.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Can your comment just stirred within me another building on what you said, another angle. So I'm going to share that. This is your inspiration, Karen. And that is, maybe when parents are coveting, maybe it's harder to respect them. Maybe the children find it harder. If the parents are running after material things, it might be that the child looks at the parent and says, all right, how do I see my parent? As someone who's obsessed with materialism. Is that inspiring? Does that inspire, honor and reverence? I don't know. It just seems like they're chasing a buck, or chasing, this and that or the other, chasing somebody else's stuff. So maybe, it's our, as parents, I'm saying our, but from the parent's perspective, that a parent who doesn't covet, in other words, a parent who is always appreciative of the blessings and always acknowledges God and gratitude and all of these values, maybe that's a good role model for the children. And just like the parent honors God and is appreciative of God and not coveting, which is basically saying, I don't like what I have, I want something else, the children will also honor their parents and not look, negatively or cynically or elsewhere with regards to their parents.
That's interesting that you say that, because I'm thinking about my own little granddaughter. Because I have a really
Rachel?
Yeah, Rachel, right? She's the she's the mouth, right? She has a comment and an intuition about everything, right? And she's 6 years old, and don't get me started talking about her, because I fell, as you can imagine. But it's so funny, because when my son is 38 years old, and very successful man or whatever, but very loving, and definitely a wonderful father. But when he gets a little mouthy to me, even in joking, like just because a 6-year-old takes things much more at face value, my 6-year-old will say, Daddy, don't talk to your mother that way, and so there's this interest, or she'll say to me, Grandma, I know you feel this way about your son. So so children are really looking, grandchildren
Right.
and children are really looking at that modeling of their parents. We know that, but
Right.
I really like this idea that, I mentioned it in reverse.
Right.
To parent, but I love this idea of the modeling that comes from parent in terms of priorities they set for their life. Is it more important to go off to 100 meets and wherever and miss when we used to have recitals and baseball games and so forth? Is that pursuit more important than the relationship you have with your children?
And I think also, I thank you for sharing the anecdote, and I agree 100%. I also think, just along these lines, that it's not only the materialism part of it, but the coveting could be in different ways. It could be materialistic, but it could also be kind of like this, not feeling good about other people and always being like, well, that person is no good and that person is no good, and it's always negatively speaking about others. The reality is, when we speak negatively about others, it reflects poorly on ourselves, right? When we speak negatively about others, gossipy and whatever, at the end of the day, it's a reflection on our own character. And a child, perhaps, one could argue, based on this, juxtaposition or this connection, 5 and 10, that when a child sees, if a parent is respectful of others, it's easier for the child to be respectful. Let's say it in the positive way. When one is a respectful person of others, it's easier to respect them. When one is a disrespectful person, looking ill at others, oh, why did he get the promotion? Not even about necessarily the materialism piece of it, but just the negative look at others and talk about others, that might make it a little bit harder to honor on that level. Not saying that it still shouldn't be, they shouldn't honor the parent, of course, but it's easier to honor, again, say it in the positive way, easier to honor one who has that honor of others. And the truth is, it's interesting, getting back to what you said about grandchildren. I mentioned before that the Torah states a reward for honoring parents. Honor your parents so that you may live long. What's the message? You're going to live long, and you're going to need your kids to honor you. So create a good role model for them, because look, somebody can say it's a punishment, right? Or it's a curse. It's like, honor your parents, because if not, you're going to live long, and then what? Right? And then you're going to need your kids, and your kids are going to have you as a role model. And what did you do to your parents? And that's not a good thing that you want, on your ledger or in their memory. So the bottom line is we sleep in the bed that we create, and we live in the homes that we build, and we live within the atmospheres that we provide. So let's create a respectful, gracious, generous, loving environment, and that hopefully will be reflected back to us. So you know what? I like our crowdsource thing. I'm going to take away that question mark right over there, because I think we've explained it nicely. Thank you. I'm glad we could do this together. Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
I've got one more thing.
Sure.
Maybe two more things, but I'll make them fast.
No worries.
First is that when I look at the first line of each tablet, to me, that almost sets the stage for what is on that tablet. So on the right tablet, I am the Lord thy God, and honor parents. When you drop down to that under that theme in Tanya, we say that Hashem is the Father.
Right.
And so therefore, that when we covet other things, we are saying we do not like what our Father Hashem gave us.
I like it. Beautiful.
And likewise, with one last thing, as with murder, that sets the tone for the second set. And I've heard this before, that Lashon Hora is a form of murder. It's where you murder someone's reputation.
Right.
And so that's the stage with the stealing. You steal their reputation, so forth and so on. Anyway, that's what I have.
I like it. Good. Beautiful. Look at this. A crowdsourced conversation. I like this. I like this a lot. By the way, unbeknownst to me, it's baseball season. That's not unbeknownst to me. Baseball season has started for those that are paying attention. It's very complicated right now. They're playing in stadiums without fans. You can actually spend money, $50, and get your picture on a cardboard cutout behind home plate. This is true. My kids told me, and I see it. This is legit. But unbeknownst to me, I drew a baseball diamond behind the 10 Commandments. Look at that. I drew a baseball diamond. Look at that. It's not even intentional.
Rabbi Subliminal.
Huh?
Rabbi Subliminal.
This is like the pitcher's mound. This is the diamond. Yeah. First base is here. We got the outfield, right? We got listen. Anyway, enjoy the game. I'm kidding. Thank you for joining me today for Daily Power Parsha. Thank you for studying together. Don't forget, tonight is Tisha B'Av, a fast day, 24-hour fast. Begins at 8:39, I believe, ends tomorrow at about 9 something. Take a look at your calendar. I don't want to misstate the time. Check your local listings. And we are going to be doing services at Chabad, but also, because it's not Shabbat or holiday, we're going to be streaming the reading of the book of Eicha Lamentations on Zoom. If you are on our shul email list, you got that email earlier today from Rabbi Schusterman. If not, email me and I will send you that link. Or you can join us in person. I believe Ma'ariv we're doing at 9:15, and then we're going to have a film, a film documentary presentation about Viktor Frankl. Tomorrow we have services as well in the morning, in the afternoon. So anyway, take a look at the email. If you didn't get the email, email me and I'll email you. And wishing you an easy fast and a meaningful Tisha B'Av. All right. See you all. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to hydrate. Hydrate. All right. We'll see you all. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Pleasure. Great to see everybody.
Bye.
Bye.